Well, hi there again, boys and girls. Welcome to ChessBase Workshop. I'm Steve Lopez. Thank you for joining me for this presentation. I appreciate you being here. We've been looking over the last several ChessBase workshops at the player keys in ChessBase. The way you get to a player key, of course, is you double-click on the database, and you click. You've got a whole bunch of tabs up here at the top, of course. You have one that says Players. Wait a second. There we go. And that's how you get to the player key. And we've had several videos where we've looked at the player key. Different things you can do. You can search for black games, white games. You can use the prepare against buttons that are up here to find out what a player's repertoire is, which is a feature that grandmasters absolutely hate. They don't want to give anybody an edge. They love to use it. They just hate that other people can use the same information. And of course, we looked at player statistics, the statistical display. In the last workshop, we looked at this, and of course, the ID card for the player. Now, we were looking at Yasser Seirawan last week. I'm not picking on Yasser, but I just chose his name kind of at random. First guy that popped into my head, actually. And we're going to look at a really cool feature that you can get to two different ways from the player keys. One of the ways is, of course, to click on the ID card and click the dossier button, or you can just go right up here at the top, just highlight their name in the list, whoever they are, and click the dossier button up here in the ribbon. Now, dossier is a great word. I love dossier. I love that word. It's a 60s spy movie word. You know, you can hear Sean Connery asking Miss Moneypenny for the dossier on Goldfinger or whatever, Dr. No or whoever, you know. So we're going to click this. What you're going to do, it's going to create exactly what it sounds like. Instead of, it's like you're going to have a file folder of information on this particular player. It's going to be a virtual electronic version of the manila file folder packed full of information on this particular player, on this particular character. So we're going to click on Yasser's name, Yasser Seirawan, and click Dossier, and see what we come up with. And it's cool because it's going to generate this while we wait. It's going to pull all this stuff up from the mega database, and it doesn't take very long to do. So let's see what we get. We'll click on it, and what we get first is this. We get to define our parameters. Repertoire basically means how detailed do you want the opening information about Yasser Seirawan's openings? How detailed do you want it to be? You can go with coarse, which means that it's not going to go very deep. It's going to be a few main lines. Fine means it's going to try to get as much information as possible and go as deep as it can into those openings in terms of number of moves. Then you've got normal, which is your nice fence-sitting middle ground. So we'll leave it at normal, just see what we get. From year, well, we'll leave it at 1800. Yasser wasn't born yet. In fact, as we were talking last week, Yasser was born the same year I was. But you can leave it at 1800. First name length, 99 is a good default, and I'll tell you why. Go back a couple of 3 weeks here in ChessBase Workshop where we talked about this player key. What we want to do is make sure we differentiate between players. We don't want, now, there aren't any other Seirawans in this database, but we don't want any additional games by someone else named Seirawan who might be, his name might be Yusuf Seirawan, and if you just first name length of 1, you would get his names in there along with his games along with Yasser's. So we go for 99. Just leave it at the default is where I'm going with this. The dossier will put some photographs of the player in it. Basically, you can select the number of photographs that you want. There are players in the in ChessBase that have tons of photographs. I mean, dozens of photos. It depends on how many you want in the dossier. I left it at 1, but you can make it a higher number if you want to. Career highlights. The word highlights was unfortunately left off of this display, but checking this box means you get career highlights of that player. That's a good thing, and I'll show you what it does when we create the dossier. Games with mate, you can put that in there. It's just an extra little field that you get in the dossier where the player is checkmating someone. We'll leave that off. The default is to have it off, and we'll leave it off, and we'll just go with the defaults and see what ChessBase 11 cooks up. Now, as far as career highlights, what does that mean? Well, guess what? ChessBase doesn't tell us. You'll have to trust the software to pull up the right games. It's a trade secret, so you don't find out from the help files or from anyone else what the actual parameters are. It's a surprise. So let's click OK and be surprised. takes a little while to generate, but it doesn't take an incredibly long time. In fact, this is flying. And understand, there we go, we're creating a repertoire. Now we're creating another repertoire. Now we're doing some more stuff. Now I'm running a video. Understand, I'm doing video capture software. Bang, it's done. That quick. And I've even got the processor, using up tons of cycles of the processor to make this video. So this is a fast thing. It went through 1,569 games and pulled up this information. And what do we get? We get the dossier. We're opening up the file folder that Miss Moneypenny has pulled first. Thank you, Miss Moneypenny, for this information. We've got dossier Yasser Sirwan, a grandmaster, born in 1960. He's 51 years old. I'm not quite 51 yet as I'm recording this video, but I will be this year. So Yaz and I were born the same year. From the States, that's why there's a little American flag there. And we can click, this is actually a link. I'm not going to click it, but this red line here is actually a link where we can pull up all 1,569 games of his from Mega Database. Basically, clicking that does a player search for Yaz's games. The first section is pictures, of course. We only said we wanted one picture, but if we had asked for more, we would have had a line of pictures across here from different points in Yasser's career. Individual development. Oh, you'll recognize this. This is the ELO graph from last week. We showed you how to generate this graph. You get a little extra information. The graph shows you his best ELO rating, the year and the age at which that happened. This shows you his last known ELO rating as of July. Sorry, it's a 7, not a 1, idiot. As of July 2008, Yaz's rating was 2634. Now, it hasn't fallen a terrible amount from his height at age 39. He's a well-preserved 51, at least his rating, as far as his ELO rating is concerned. But we saw this last week by clicking on another button. Statistics, we saw this several videos back, again by clicking on a different button. We get a statistical graph. We get links to all of his games as white, links to all of his games as black, and kind of a little analysis of how he does with each color. Scores well with white, scores above average with black. Not quite as well as white, but 52%. Anything over 50% with black is respectable. Because if you're an old school chess player, you believe that white should play for a win and black should play for a draw. Now, whether or not you subscribe to that or not, that seems to be a common way of thinking about it. So if you score above 50% with black, you've done well. So that's fine. We move on to the next section then. And by the way, this is all stuff that we can use other buttons to get to in ChessBase 11. So what this feature, the dossier feature, what it does is it combines a whole bunch of different functions and pulls that information together for us in this nice, neat little package, just like Miss Moneypenny has in her file cabinet in a James Bond movie. Like I said, I just love that word, dossier. It's just so cool. We get the career of Yasser Sirwan. What we have is the major events he played in chronological order. Notice the years do go chronologically, and these are links, by the way. If we clicked on this link, for example, we would get Yasser's games from the U.S. Under-18 Championship in 1976. If it is a FIDE category tournament, if it has a FIDE category, that's what the Roman numeral is. We see how the player did, 3.5 out of 7. How he finished in the tournament. Yaz came in 4th in the Under-18 USA Championship in 76. We come down here to, let's say Las Palmas. He came in 3rd, etc. He came in 1st in this tournament in 1984. So you can just get a quick look at the player's overall career. If it's a match, here's a match where he played that against Jan Tiemann. I actually remember that match, in fact, from 1990. I remember reading about that at the time. So you can scroll down. There's all kinds of events here. And then we get to his individual opponents. Again, we saw that last week. There is a statistical display you can get to that gives you this same information. Just another separate feature that's been pulled in, the results of which get pulled in to the dossier. Notice that, for example, he played Jan Tiemann 35 times. If you want all 35 games, click that link, and that will pull up all of his games that he played against, Yaz played against Jan Tiemann. So that's pretty cool. And do that for all of his major opponents, Nigel Short, all the different people he's played down through the years. And then down here at the bottom, this is what the coarse and fine and normal buttons would do. It determines what we get for repertoire results. Basically the basic lines that he likes to play as white, how well he does with them, a performance rating. Basically it's very similar information to what we get in the tree without having to step through the tree to get to these numbers. By the way, we have 3 windows open by running the dossier feature. You also have separate down here, separate white and black repertoire screens for Yasser Seirawan. Notice in the black repertoire screen, for example, Seirawan's name is in the black column. We go over here to white. We go over here to the white column, and there's Seirawan's games. So that's specific information, and what this has done then is gone into the tree several moves in to give us statistical information, the stuff that we would see if we step through the tree, for example, through all these moves to get to knight c3. These are the numbers we would see for it. Spectacular games. I don't know why this is spectacular, and I'm not going to show the game to you. You can use this feature to find out if you wish. Why is this game against Enrique Mecking spectacular? Click the link and find out. It's White's move, find out what he played in that position that ChessBase found to be spectacular. Finally, you get links to some games which Yasser annotated, and they're not just annotated games, they're his own games that he annotated. Seirawan annotates his games. We have 4 games, all from the same event, the Novi Sad Men's Olympiad 1990. And there are 4 games where you can not only play through the games, but read Yasser's thoughts on what was going on in those games. That's what the dossier does. It is a really, really, really profoundly cool function. It's been in ChessBase for a while. It's been kicking around in the software for, I don't know, going back, I guess, to about ChessBase 7 or 8, as I recall. But it's been improved over the years. There are some additional tweaks and features with it, and that's what you can do with it. But to get to it, once again, there's 2 ways to get to it, and I'll just close all the windows to go back to where we were. When you have a player's name highlighted in the player list, you can either click the dossier button directly, or if you're looking at their ID card, click the dossier button here, and that will bring up the dialog that allows you to tweak the information that you're going to get. You can do this for any player that's in the database. So if you go into Mega Database 2011, where there are literally thousands of players, you can do this for pretty much anybody. However, the more games a player has, the better the results you get, obviously. If we went up here to this fellow who only has 4 games, it's not even worth creating a dossier for that player, really. I mean, there's just 4 games. You can play through them. Same deal here. This fellow here's only had 3 games, etc. I mean, but if somebody's got a bunch of games, you know, several dozen, like this one, this fellow here's got 63 games, it might be worthwhile to create a dossier on that guy just to see, you know, what he's done. But any player in the Mega Database, or any database, since the player key is generated automatically when you create the database, whenever you add players, you add a game to the database, if the players are not already in the key, they get added to the key. So it's constantly updated as you add games to the database, and you can go to the player key and pull up all kinds of really crucial, interesting information about each of these players in a variety of ways. As we've seen over the last several videos, you can just pull up, by preparing as white or black, you can pull up their opening repertoire playing either color. You can search for their games as white, search for the games as black, look for player statistics as we saw in the last workshop video, as well as the ID card we saw last time around. There are no pictures of this player, which is why we have this kind of strange mannequin-looking face, kind of like an old Outer Limits episode. So we'll just click close. But if they have a picture, as Yasser does, we get pictures of Yaz, as well as biographical information, and of course we can get to the dossier 2 different ways. Great tool in ChessBase 11. I can't say enough about it. At one time, as I think I said way back at the beginning, this was just an alphabetical list of players. You could double click on a name and bang, there's their games. And that's all it did way back in the old DOS days. If you had, there was a special tool called Alpha that you could get that would create this alphabetical key. But over the years, this has been significantly improved. In fact, prepare against white, prepare against black are new features in ChessBase 11. So this feature is always being improved. We have brand new features, 2 of them in this version of ChessBase that were not in ChessBase 10. So this is a great tool. Please do use it. That's why I've done these videos, to show you how you can use the player keys to not only get just who you want, so you can differentiate between Juanilton Capablanca and Jose Raul Capablanca, for example, but also to get very specific, very specialized information on the player that you've selected. That's it for this week's workshop. Thanks for watching. And until next time around, please do, as always, have fun.